go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you here. It's good to be here again. Happy Sunday, wherever you are in the world. Be it your Saturday coming into Sunday or your Sunday looking at Monday ahead. This is Coach Mo seeing you from Partner again on this blessed day. It's good to be here. I'm excited. It's another time of the month where we have our monthly webinar. And tonight we have a very, very interesting topic to talk about. And then my excitement is holding me back. I don't want to rush. Like we always do, we're going to keep it real, keep it very simple, no financial big words. Rather, we're going to talk in terms of very simple terms. We're talking about finances like we always do here. Power to know, and basically our objective is what it's teaching you financial independence in this age of digital asset. I call it in this exponential age. It's teaching you the ropes as the world is changing for you to be able to navigate your way and change accordingly. So today we have an amazing topic we're talking about, and that's very simple. It is we're building wealth through savings. That is what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we start, can I just go ahead and see who is there in the house? Can you tell me where you're joining us from in the world? Wherever you join us in the world, just drop in the chat, be it you streaming on YouTube, you watching this later. Whatever questions you have, there's going to be time later on for me to take your questions. And I've got a package for you at the end of today's session. I'm not going to let the cat out of the basket yet. But before we go ahead, let me hand over to the team. And I'm sure the team has got a message for all of us. Over to you, team.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Please confirm that you can see my screen. My name is Bumi Okeshola. I'm a member of the team, and it's so good to have everyone here. Please help me confirm that you can see my screen. Let me know in the chat. I'm looking out on the chat. Can you see my screen? Okay. Do I have a response in the chat? Yes, awesome. Vibring from Abuja, thank you so much. All right, I'll be playing this right away.
Power to Know offers comprehensive financial and life coaching services aimed at helping clients build wealth, lower risks, and manage taxes effectively. Their approach includes science-based investing methods, personalized coaching, and education to foster financial independence. They emphasize the importance of adapting to rapidly changing financial environments and the significance of personal development. The company's strategy involves individualized coaching tailored to meet specific needs and goals, whether related to wealth accumulation, career advancement, or life transition. They stress the importance of accountability, achieving success, and employee goal-oriented methodology to ensure tangible progress. The team believes in the potential of every individual to achieve greatness and is dedicated to helping clients unlock their potential. Through guidance and support, clients gain confidence and skills to take control of their finances.
Okay, apologies about that. I've just been told that you can't hear. Please just give me a minute. Let me share that again. Sorry for the technical glitch. Okay, so we're going to go again. Please let me know that you can hear and you can see. It's really important. We need you to see and hear this. All right, we'll go again. I'll be playing this shortly again. Just let me know that you can see and you can hear. All right. Okay.
Power to Know offers comprehensive financial and life coaching services aimed at helping clients build wealth, lower risks, and manage taxes effectively. Their approach includes science-based investing methods, personalized coaching, and education to foster financial independence. They emphasize the importance of adapting to rapidly changing financial environments and the significance of personal development. The company's strategy revolves around individualized coaching tailored to meet specific needs and goals related to wealth accumulation, career advancement, or life transitions. They stress the importance of accountability in achieving success and employ a goal-oriented methodology to ensure tangible progress. The team believes in the potential of every individual to achieve greatness and is dedicated to helping clients unlock their potential. Through guidance and support, clients gain confidence and skills to take control of their financial future. Power to Know invites individuals to join them on a transformative journey focused on skills building, accountability, action planning, goal setting, and feedback and reflection.
All right, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. It's good to see you. We've got a few people on here. I can see the usuals. I can see the regulars. I can see you all. It's good to see you. Hi, Banke. Hi, Faith. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Reverend Theo. And hi, Reverend No. It's good to see you all. And everyone else is joining us from YouTube. It's good to see you. I could not call every name right now, but that's okay. So whatever time you're watching this, so let's get to the business. I'm excited, so let's get to it. Today, what we're talking about today is building wealth through savings. This seems so simple. It is nothing you've never heard about. It's something you don't know. So I don't have any silver bullet to give you tonight. Don't have anything to tell you you've never heard. I'm not here to tell you a secret sauce, a secret recipe for you to succeed when it comes to building wealth through savings. All I'm here to tell you is just one thing, to remind you of that which you already know, and to take you away from knowing rather to the state of understanding. Empowered to know. We have something we call the know, be, do. Know, be, do is your ability to know. Knowing, being is your ability to understand, and doing is application. So tonight's journey is to take you actually from that journey of knowing, if you already know, if you don't know, to make you to know, and then transitioning you into the phase of understanding that's going to empower your ability to apply. So let's get it started. I just remember something right now. We have a special present for everybody tonight. At the end of tonight's, I'm going to be sharing something very, very dear to my heart. It's a gift to you, or just to say our expression to you from Power to Know. So please, team, remind me if I get carried away and we're almost finishing. But if not, then so you've got something juicy waiting. So please don't hurry after today's session. And today I'm going to be taking live questions. Type your questions in right now or during the course of the call. Type your questions in, raise your hand if you want to be interactive. Whatever the case is, we're here to answer that. So let's jump right in there. So now this is it. We're talking about building wealth through savings. Let us take a few steps back. We're talking about building wealth. So that means if you're going to build, nothing is built from the top. Everything that is built starts from the bottom. That means there is got to be a foundation. Wealth is never attained without being built. You can become rich overnight. You can never be wealthy overnight. Why am I saying that? You can play lottery now and you can win $1 billion. You can win £1 million. You can win whatever amount you could win through whichever channel. You can get an inheritance you are not aware of. So it is extremely possible for you to become rich overnight. That has been established. Everybody can become rich overnight, but nobody becomes wealthy overnight. Wealth is not in riches. Wealth is built through principles. Wealth is built through becoming. Wealth is built through process. Wealth is built over time. The first place in the journey to wealth building is here. You can never be wealthy if you are first not wealthy in your mind. My favorite book says this, that as a man thinketh, so is he. That means you will never build wealth if you first don't have the ability to have the right wealth building mindset. That's the first place you start from. So once you're able to see that wealth building process in your mind, and the way the life works there is, whatever you cannot see, you can never possess. If you cannot see it in the room of your imagination, if you cannot see it in the way you see things, we all have imagination, we all imagine things. So first, to build wealth, you must first have that imagination and seeing yourself as being wealthy. There is a difference between riches and wealth. I know we've used them interchangeably a very long time, but there are many people who are rich and not wealthy. Money is just only an aspect of wealth. Money is not wealth. But you can hardly be wealthy without the financial know-how. So tonight we're starting from the first place, which is building wealth through savings. Where I'm actually going is not from, I'm not going to wealth. I'm actually going to talk about savings. Now, what is savings? Many of us, we've heard about savings all our life. It's just one of those topics when they say savings, we all turn our face like, okay, there they go again. They're telling us to save, 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 save. Tonight, I'm not talking about the usual cliche about you saving. No, I'm not. I'm going to make you see savings from a different perspective. Most of the time, we see saving as a means to an end. That means for me to have something, what part of the journey for me to go through to get it is what is through savings. That is acceptable, but that is not sustainable. Savings is about you understanding really what do you mean when you talk about savings. In one of my teachings, I was teaching about the 6 commandments of wealth creation. And the first rule there was actually in terms of pay yourself first. What that is trying to actually tell you, no, actually the second one, the first one is know thyself, the second one is pay yourself first. And what that commandment is telling you there is, you can never build wealth without understanding the role and the principle of saving. So really, what is savings? When we talk about savings, savings is that which is set apart. Saving is that sacred part that is the seed for your multiplication. I will say that again. Saving is that which is set apart that becomes the seed for your multiplication. So saving is that which you have not consumed. Saving is that which has not been defined as a liability or as something to be consumed. I will break those things down later. I'm going somewhere. So your savings is your seed. When you're going to build wealth, in the journey to building wealth, and tonight I will focus more around the financial wealth and financial prosperity dimension of wealth, because there's quite a number of dimensions. There are quite different areas of wealth building. So we have social wealth, we have relational wealth, we have it's quite a number of them, but tonight I'm talking about financial wealth. The cornerstone, the foundation of wealth building is savings. Saving is that sacred seed you put aside. I was using an analogy to someone earlier on today. Like if you, let's say you went out, you have a lovely meal, or you have your meal, you do everything, and it does not matter how amazing that food is. If you eat the food and you enjoy the meal is the best thing since sliced bread. It was amazing. At the end of the day, what happens? There is something, a portion of what you've consumed that needs to go out of you. It is the law and the nature of life. Whatever you consume, a portion of it still comes out of you. It does not matter if it is the most balanced diet ever. Savings is a principle. Principles can never be broken. We are used to things around, okay, if you want something, you set a goal. Once you set the goal is to say, okay, I want to go on holiday. Okay, I'll take a portion of what I have and I'll put it in a particular pot, in a particular jar. And then when I hit that goal, then I feel free in myself to actually go on that holiday. Do you know that every time you consume whatever it is not longer being saved? I bet most of you are still thinking, Coach Mo, I don't get you. I don't get you that. Yep, you don't get me. I will explain myself further. Do you know why you really struggle with savings? The reason you struggle with saving is because you see savings as a means to consumption. It means let me put this thing aside. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a car. I want to do this. Let me save this particular thing to put it here so that I can then use it later. So what you're doing there is you are consuming, but you're not consuming at that point in time. You are setting aside for a future consumption. That is still consumption. It's just in a later date. Saving is that which you do not consume. That is the first part of savings. Wealth can never be built without you saving. What that saving is that part that you continually set aside as a seed. Your ability to build wealth determines to the extent at which you understand what the real principle of saving is. And savings is that which you set aside as a seed. So every time you need an harvest, there must be a seed. So every time you're consuming a seed, you're depriving the seed of any potential future returns. That is the first fundamentals of what savings is. When you come to the understanding and to the realization that no matter what state I am in life, the principle of saving is what sustains. And the principle of saving is that which is set aside as a seed. Have you ever seen a farmer who consumes everything he has from one harvest? What that means there is that harvest is the last harvest that farmer will forever see. That is step one. Now, step 2, what is savings? Savings is an insurance. What do I mean by saving is an insurance? One thing you can be sure about there is, as long as you're alive, as long as you're living, as long as you're on earth, there are some things that is common to men, happens to everybody. And that is what is called emergencies. Emergencies are things you did not see coming that will what happened to you. It happens to everybody. It doesn't mean if you're religious. It doesn't mean if you're not religious. It doesn't mean if you live a simple life. It doesn't mean if you live a hard life. Whatever circumstance you think you are, whatever kind of life you think you're living, nobody is immune from this. It happens to all. In order for you to, number one, continue to build wealth, and for you to be able to weather every financial storms that comes your way, your defense still goes back to what? Your savings. And this is where you now have the next phase of savings. Most of us, the problem we are in financially right now is because we did not understand, we did not obey, and we did not regard that principle of savings. That means everything we've ever had, we've consumed everything. Now, let me give you an example. Imagine from the day you were born up till now, every single money that you've earned, that you were given, a portion of that money was actually set aside as savings. I call it SNS, save, never spend. Do you know how much you would have accumulated over time? Let's do a mental calculation, and let's go back the last 10, 15, 20 years. For most of us that are old enough for that, those of you not old enough, just go back as far back as you can think of when you started earning money. Imagine a particular portion, regardless of whatever percentage of that money that is coming to your hands, you were given, you've worked for, you've earned, was actually set aside as you save it as your seed. Now, let me go a bit more interactive today. Can you tell me in the chat box then, can you tell me what do you think you would have? If you've worked 10 years and you've saved 10% of everything you've earned, you should have a year worth of savings. If you've worked 10 years and you save 5% of your savings, you should have half a year worth of savings. It doesn't matter what percentage you've saved. There should be something in that box that is going to be your defense to weather the storms. So let's go on to the next phase. The first thing to understand that savings is not for consumption. Now, the second phase of it then is savings as an insurance. Emergency happens to everybody. You cannot plan for every eventuality in life. Some things just happen. Now, when those things happen, the best defense you have, if it's financial, is for you to be able to respond financially without impacting every other thing in your life. Savings is an insurance. That means you are setting a particular percentage aside just in case for a day when something you've not planned happen. Why am I saying that? See, my favorite book says, the rain fall on the just and the unjust. Have you ever seen whenever the rain is falling, that the rain picks a certain set of people to fall on the same street, and it picks another set of people to not follow? No. When the sun is shining, the sun shines on everybody. When life happens to everybody. When life happens to you, don't begin to think, Lord, what have I done? It's called life. Especially if it's something you can actually respond to financially. Now I can already see questions coming through. I'll pick them up. So now this particular type of savings we're talking about here is what? This is the one we're talking about. This is the one where, because it's an emergency that happened, we need to be able to respond to that emergency. And that is where you get the term we use in the savings and in finance, what called emergency fund. Now, emergency fund is a fund you've set aside for the day emergency happens. So when emergency happens, you are not running about panicking. You simply, if it's a financial emergency, you respond with your emergency fund. That is your insurance. Now, this is the thinking here. You're thinking and said, okay, coach, you said there should be recording in that save, never spend. And they should now, are you not saying that we need to have two different types of saving? Oh, I'm coming there. Please be with me. We would land somewhere beautiful tonight. We will. So the next phase we're talking about here is now what? It is now the emergency fund. When emergency happens, for you to be able to respond to life. Now, please, Ashwebi is not an emergency, if you understand what that means. Ashwebi is a term we use whereby there's a party and they get clothes and they say, come and buy these clothes. Your hobby, you and your hobby's wedding anniversary is not an emergency. It's a date that happens every year. You know it. Your birthdays are not emergencies. The day is fixed. For some of you that have two birthdays even self, you know. Number 3, somebody else's emergency is not your emergency. I will say this again. The emergency of someone else is not your emergency. I was speaking to, I can't remember who I was speaking to about a week ago thereabout, and I use this analogy, and this is the analogy I'll use again, just on that particular point, whereby the emergency of others is if somebody else's emergency is not your emergency. This is it's a very popular story. You've all heard about it. It's a group of 10 individuals. And those 10 individuals, they are from the same school of thought. They are from the same group of people. They all have the same credentials. They all have the same criteria. They are all well educated at the same level. They all have the same exposure. There is nothing special that differentiates any of them. They are all the same. They are all saints. They are all believers. They are all whatever you want to put them in that box. But within that context, 5 of them, there was this adjective used as, if I'd say this, all of you know what I'm talking about. So 5 of them were called foolish, and the other 5 were called wise. That intrigued me because the word that was used to qualify the 10 of them is the word virgin. Now, when you say virgin, what that text is talking about there is righteousness. They are of the same caliber. They are within the same group. They are a special breed of people. These are creme de la creme. They are not just a group of people. So take that word virgin is talking about the state in which they are. They are not just any other group of people. Now, for some reason, the story went on to narrate and call 5 of them wise and 5 of them foolish. I went on to the story to understand what is the story trying to tell. This is what the story was trying to tell. The story said the 10 of them were going to an event. So while they were going, they knew what the event was going to be. They knew the event was going to happen. So they were going there. 5 of them assumed they had control over every element and everything relating to the event they are attending to. The other 5 understood something about life, that they do not control all the narratives of life. So what happened? 5 of them made assumption that they had control over the narrative of life. They have control over what happened. So they prepared and planned exactly, precisely of what was the events they were going to go to. The other 5 prepared for the event they were going to. However, they knew life is unpredictable. and they knew life can happen to everybody. So what did they do? They prepared for what is called just in case there is an emergency. That is why every vehicle has a spare tire. Not because every brand new car that has brand new tires still comes with a spare tire. Not because the tires are not good, but just in case. So the 5 group had a spare tire. The other 5 group didn't have a spare tire. So please come with me because I'm going to the end of that. So when they got to the event and the event was going on, everybody was okay. All of a sudden, life happened. The event that was supposed to finish at 12 midnight, some of the guests were delayed and the event was now moved to around 3, 4, 5 a.m. And the whole reason for them being at the event is so that they wait till the end of the event. That was unplanned for. That was not in the script. That was life happened to them. Now, the 5 who planned exactly for the scenario of life because they assumed they had control over life. They've planned exactly this is what they're going to consume at this time. And when they consume it, the event is finished. The other ones that had extra, they were all there. Now, they're getting close to, okay, our fuel is running low. This was what happened now. A group of the 5 now went to the other ones and said, life is happened to all of us. You're aware of that. We are all being delayed here. Can you please give us some of your spare tire or your spare oil so that we would be able to stay longer here? Just as you can see, life has happened to everybody, or life has happened to them. And this is what intrigued me about the response of the group that was called Wise. They said something. They said, what we have is for just us, ourselves. The extra we have is for ourselves. It's our emergency fund. If we don't have enough to be able to give to you and still cater for our own emergency at the same time. So this is what we're going to do. It's not because we don't want to share or we are not merciful. No, this is a case of emergency. Instead of us giving to you, let us give you what we can give and advice. Go to them that sell and buy from them. And we all know what happened to the story. The 5 of them went to go and start looking. Time was wasted. The other 5 were prepared. They had their extra oil, their extra tire. They got to the event and they were able to partake in the event. The other 5 could not. Now, that is exactly. See, some of us in this 21st century, whatever has come upon us, we'll say that is cruel. That is greedy. That is not nice. They could have shared, some of what they have. They are not being loving. They are not being generous. No, my favorite book says something. It says you should love your neighbor as yourself. It never said love them more than yourself. You exposing your emergency fund to other people is exposing you to be without an emergency. So when emergency happens to you, you do not have a defense, but you've been able to use your emergency to defend someone else. So that is the place of you understanding your emergency fund. That was a detour. So let me come back home. Your emergency fund is for you and your family that you've planned. I'm going to come to, I can see a lot of questions is coming around. How do you set boundaries and how do you set all of these things? I will come to that. So that is what happens. That is this next phase of savings. You save for an emergency. Trust me, emergency will happen. Trust me, this is life. It would happen to every one of us. Now, the next phase is now when what I call it saving is delayed gratification. What does that mean? Savings, you could see that the first one was called savings is a seed. A portion of your savings must always remain in the seed form. That means you never consume it. The next phase is the emergency fund. And then the next phase now is the one which is the delayed gratification. Now, the delayed gratification here is now when you said, okay, I'm going to pick something now. I love shoes. Not like I love shoes, but I love shoes. I want to buy a Christian Louboutin, red bottoms. Okay. I cannot buy that now because I can't afford it now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to set up a savings target and say, I want to buy a pair of 1,000 red bottoms, and I'm going to buy it in 12 or 24 months. 1,000 divided by 24 months, that gives me maybe £50 a month. And I will start setting aside £50 a month towards that particular goal. Now, that goal could be short-term goal, it could be medium-term goal, it could be long-term goal. Your short-term usually, this is quite personal because it's personal finance, but your short-term usually should be between 0 and 3 years, thereabout, give or take. Your medium-term goal should be between 3 to 5, 3 to 6, 3 to 7, depending, sometimes 3 to 10, depending on what your goals are. And your long-term goal should be greater than 7, greater than 10. So regardless of which of them you're saving for, you can then now have a delayed gratification category of savings. That means it's the same, it is something you're going to consume later, but you are setting up funds from now so that you'll be able to afford that later when you consume that. Now, that is the third stage. And that is, number 3 is what most of us use and call savings. I'm not finished yet. Now, there is now that part of your savings that is used for investments. Now, investments could be different things. You could use an investment vehicle to actually carry a savings goal. Why am I saying that? Investments actually, saving is like what is like addition. Investment is like multiplication. It's just the risk in each of them is quite different. So within that savings of your long-term, short-term goal, you can actually now use an investment vehicle to make that savings happen. Everything starts with savings. So let me take a breather and let me quickly go through a couple of questions and then we continue. And then talking about the first one I have is, do we separate savings from emergency fund? 100%. Your emergency fund, let me tell you this, your emergency fund is not yours. Your emergency fund belongs to the emergency that is coming. The more you are looking at an emergency fund like it's your money, that is when you have some false sense of security. Your emergency fund is an insurance. When you pay your car insurance, do you think to yourself that you have money for insurance somewhere? No. An insurance is needed for the day you don't know it's going to happen. And anytime you need an insurance, it's always too late to have one. Just the same thing with emergency fund. So I'm going to answer that question, which says, do we separate savings from emergency fund? 100% you separate savings from emergency fund. That is the first question. That is my take on it anyway. So my take is you separate your savings from your emergency funds. And you know there are 2 types of emergency funds. Let me quickly touch on that. There is the one we call the Starters Emergency Fund. And there is one called the Full and Funded Emergency Fund. See, the Starter Emergency Fund, let me give you this scenario. Now, let's say you've been living your life before now, you've been living and living and living and living. All of a sudden, someone invited you to come and listen to Coach Mo. And you heard Coach Mo today, and you're like, that light bulb moment came to you, and you realize that, oh my Lord, what have I been doing all this while? And then you came to the realization and said, wow, I need to get my life sorted right now. Now, before you do anything else, and this includes you are in debt, your debt is mounting, debtors are chasing you with a gun, chasing you with letters, chasing you with whatever the case is. The first thing you do to start your financial journey is to quickly pull together the emergency fund. It's called the Starters emergency fund. Most of the time, that usually should be your 1 month's worth of expenses. I said most of the times. That is the goal of your starter emergency fund. For some people, their starter emergency fund is 2 months. Some people is 3 months, but usually the average is about what I teach my clients, and is start from 1 month of your full expenditure. Now, your full funded emergency fund, once you've done that, then you can do a few other things. Now, your fully funded emergency fund now goes to a particular category within the delayed gratification pots. That means one of the savings pots you have, amongst other things, your fully funded emergency fund becomes one of them. I hope I've explained that one. So that is that. Let me look to the second one, which says, how can I start saving when I am living paycheck to paycheck? Let me tell you this. Let me tell you the truth, and the truth about this psychology. I get this every time. What I'm earning is not enough. How do you now expect me to save from it? Let me tell you something. If you don't start saving from that is not enough, you will never have enough. Why? When you start saving, it is who you are becoming is more important than the saving itself. When you start saving, what you are doing there is you are building a habit, and you are starting a discipline of you being able to say that magic word, no. You don't know is a word and a statement. And it is who you become is more important than what you are actually running after. So you actually deciding to say, from this which is not enough, I'm going to take a particular percentage that goes into the savings. Now, see, you're saying what is not enough. What happens if suddenly you lose your job? You don't have control over that, do you? No, you don't. So from that which is not enough, you will still live without that job, and you're still going to be alive. So you're living paycheck to paycheck. Warren Buffett always says this thing: you save first and you spend the remaining. So that is what you do. So the first thing you do there is, that is where the principle, the second commandment is, pay thyself first. So what you do there is you save first. Find a particular percentage that is worthy of your life. See, the only thing you have in life is your time. Your time is what you put everything you have into to exchange for money. So you will now take all of that and all of that labor, and you would have nothing to show for it. That is a wasteful life. That is where wealth building starts from, that discipline of paying yourself first. Paying yourself first is not a principle of consumption. Paying yourself first is a principle of you setting up that act of discipline of being able to say no and set something aside. Have a seed. So from that paycheck that is not enough, it is not the amount you're saving that matters. No, it is the discipline and the consistency that matters more than the amount you're saving. So from that which is not enough, you take something out of that and you set it aside. There's a particular story in one of my favorite books. The master came, the master gave all of them different amounts of talents, money, whatever, and told them, I'm going away, go and do something with it. When the master came, all of them came back to give records of how they managed the money. And, the ones who had more managed more. I can see why the master gave them more. And all the way down. Now, the one the master gave the least came, complained, and could not multiply what the master gave. The greatest disappointment in life is your inability to multiply the seed in your hand. When God created man, God blessed man. And what did God tell man? God told man to be fruitful and multiply. Anytime there is no multiplication in your life, then you are not working according to that. So anytime you realize you deviated from the path, the first step for you to do there is, from that which is not enough, find the percentage and set aside. So when the master now came, this is where I'm going to. When they all now came, he now came from the one that had one. He now said something. He said, from that which he does not have, he now took. What does that mean? That means there is no particular point in time you do not have. That means you have, but you don't value what you have. That is why it is not enough. So take a percentage from that paycheck, put it into a savings pot, and you will see how your life will adjust. You already said it wasn't enough anyway. So taking small out of it does not make it to be enough, does it? But what it does there is that begins to make you a better and a different person. So don't let me stay too long. See, that particular subject, I can spend the whole day on it. Okay, let me see the next question. It says, how can I set healthy boundaries with family and friends who constantly ask for financial help without feeling guilty or responsible for solving their own financial health? Okay, the first way you can help them is, number one, send them to Coach Mo. See, you've been giving them money all this while. Did their life change? No. So the next time, tell them, look, I have this money. I will pay for you to get on a session with Coach Mo. Stop giving them fish. Teach them how to fish. Send them to Coach Mo and say, you know what? I'll pay for you for a session and let Coach Mo teach you how to fish. Number one, that is how you do that. Number two, if somebody comes to you and they say they need the oxygen you are using to breathe to keep them alive, will you give it to them? I think the answer is no. I've been to a few burial ceremonies and I've seen how loved ones have cried, including myself. When my dad died, I cried at the grave, but I've not seen a case where one person jumped into the grave and said, bury me with this person. I didn't do that for my dad, and I love my dad. What does that mean? If you don't look after yourself to be financially free, when people make you to become a financial wreck, they would leave you in that state of wreck and move on with their life. Have you discovered that people you help more are more ungrateful to the help you've given them, and they are the ones that complain more? I'm not telling you not to help people, but let there be boundaries. Within your budget, have a particular percentage called black tax. This is what I teach my clients. Within your, because we're Africans, we have African connections, we have family ties. So it is acceptable. Have within your budget what is called black tax. See, the moment you exhaust that black tax, when they come to you, tell them it is not in the budget. They will not like it. But when you tell them the first month, you tell them the next time, you tell them the next time, they will get used to, number one, giving you advance notice if they're going to need your support, because they know you need to put it in the budget. And trust me, when they see you operate in that system, when they ask once, twice, if it's not really serious, they're going to go away. So that is how you handle family and friends. Now, that word, who constantly ask. When they constantly ask, then you know there's a fundamental problem. So tell them, I think you need help. You know, I've paid for a session for you to speak to my financial coach. It would be able to teach you how to fish instead of me giving you out of my fish and I'm hungry. I've seen people who have gone to borrow money to give to people, to help people. Now they are in debt because of their good hearts. I tell my clients, never do that. I hope I've been able to answer that question. I'm sorry I'm a bit harsh today, but the truth has to be spoken. Let me see all the questions we have. There's another one. What are some of the creative ways to cut back on unnecessary expenses and allocate more funds towards savings? Do you know why what one of the problems of your savings is? You see your savings as it's optional. The day you see your savings as the most important thing in your life, it becomes a priority. It is because we don't see savings as the seed to the future we are going to. We see savings as optional. That is why we keep treating savings as optional. When you begin to understand the power of savings, that the future you want, that life you want to live, is in your ability to have the seed for savings. That is when life begins to change. Savings is not optional. Savings is mandatory. When you see, write it there on your wall. Write it somewhere there. Savings is mandatory. I save first. I spend what is left. Try that for 3 months and see if your life will not change. Warren Buffett says, save first, spend the rest. That is very simple. Save first, spend the rest. Why? Because that is your seed. That is what is going to look after your tomorrow. That is what is needed to build the tomorrow and the generation you want to build for. Unless you're not serious about building wealth, unless your building wealth is only mouth service. If you're really serious about being financially free, the first act of discipline to invoke is the principle of savings. And you can see savings are in different categories. But the first one is the one whereby it is the seed you put down. Nobody eats the seed. No farmer eats the seed. The seed is always set apart. You always keep the seed. Let me go on there. Let me see. If there are more questions, I can see there are quite a few more questions. Let me see. Okay. Are there any automated savings tools? Oh my. Do you know the beauty about technology? Technology has made it such that, do you know that what the government and some employers, they do these things whereby they tell you to, I've worked for a company before whereby you subscribe to a scheme. And what the scheme means is they will take from your salary and put in a particular pot for you. And then you can do whatever you want to do with that pot later. Do you know what I realized when I was working for them then, that when I was not doing that, when I was not part of that scheme, the money I was getting was not enough anyway. When I subscribed to the scheme, and I think I was setting apart a sizable chunk of my money to go to that, do you know that eventually I was still okay, because we have this ability of adjusting to whatever situation we find ourselves. So that is what you do. If your payday is the first of every month, one of the ways to be disciplined is set up a standing order to take that particular amount that is the seed from your money, from your account, even before any other bill goes out. Make that to be the first payment and make every other payment to be a day after. What that is teaching you there is you have given that which is the seed to your life, to your future on a side. And whatever is left, you now appropriate them depending on your budgets. That's a different topic for another day. So that is how you do it. It depends on which nation you are in. There are so many automated savings tool. Your banking, your mobile banking app, whatever bank you are using, be it Nigeria, United States, United Kingdom, anywhere you are in the world, if you have an electronic banking, that functionality of doing a standing order is available. Create a standing order that takes the money from there. And please don't use the same account for your savings. Help yourself. Find an account you don't have access to every day and send that money to that account. I usually tell people in the UK, find a passbook account. Find maybe one of these Leeds Building Society. I'm not advertising for any company here. Find any account that makes it difficult for you to reach to send that your seed money your SNS, your save never spend money into that account. That is how you do the automation. Sure, there are quite a number of apps and tools you can use to do that. I think I've come to the end of all the questions I have on here. If there are any questions on YouTube, the team, could you please help me pass them on here? So if there are no questions, if there's anybody in the house who wants to ask a question, please raise your hand. Okay, and this is where the gift is. There is a book. Oh, there's a question. Oops, I just let that slip. There's a question here. Let me see if there's a question here. I just saw there are 2 questions. Let me see. Please ask your questions. Let me see. Okay, this one says, don't use the same account. Okay, that's true. None on YouTube. So thank you very much, everybody. But if you have any questions, drop it on YouTube. Drop it there. We'll pick them up later. Or you can reach us, info@power2know, or you can reach us on all the social media pages. I'm sure the team will drop them out there for you to see. So the gift I have for all of you tonight there is, we've put together a consolidated savings book. Yep. And you know what? It is free. Everybody who is on this call, that book is going to be free. So I'm giving away today a free ebook. And I think the team is there. Team, are you there? Can you please share the page, front page of the book for everybody to see? So this is a book we've put together. It's called Master Your Savings. It's a comprehensive guide to building your financial future. It is free. If you're joining us today, if you don't have your email, please drop your email in the chat and the team would actually reach out to you to email that. So this is going to be going out to everybody. First thing tomorrow morning with our newsletter, you will all get a copy of this free ebook. It's Master Your Savings. Most of the tips I've given you today, not all. Oh, yes, definitely. I can't give everything for free, Anyway, that's a joke. So most of the tips I've given to you today, they are in this comprehensive guide. Take your time to spend time with the book, read the book. Most importantly, I want you to get to a place of understanding. See, we struggle in many areas of our lives, not because we don't know, but because we've not come to the place of understanding. We struggle with saving is because we hear save, but we don't really understand what saving is. When we understand what saving truly is, that saving is what a seed is to a farmer. A farmer knows there is a guarantee or there is a high probability of a future harvest as long as I keep having the seed. And that is the truth. There can never be any form of financial wealth building without you having a strong savings culture or a strong savings discipline. See, you are not, I'm so sure some people would, I used to hear this, yeah, but what happens, see, that's why countries can be in debt, why they can print money. You are not Nigeria, you're not United Kingdom, you're not United States of America, you're not. You're not sovereign, you're an individual. For you to build wealth, there needs to be the foundation of savings. That is why the team today, our topic for this month is what's building wealth through savings. That is the first foundational block we set in place that enables our ability to build wealth. So thank you very much, everyone. If you have any questions, I've got a question here. Someone asked a question. Let me quickly take this question. Should I use all my savings for an investment or a percentage? Now, let us take a few steps back. When you're talking about an investment, what is the definition of an investment? An investment is a venture with the possibility of a return. That means there is an element of risk in all investments. So that means anytime you're investing, always factor in there is risk. That means there is no guarantee of return. So you cannot use all your savings for an investment. You don't put all your seed into the ground, regardless of what ground it is. What happens if there is a disaster that consumes all your ground? That means you have no seed to start again. Your savings is the seed for you to build wealth. You cannot plant all your seed at once. There must always be seed in your house. Your oil must not run out. Your seed is your oil. It must not run out. So I hope I've answered that question, which says, should I use all my savings for an investment? The answer from Coach Mo is no, no, no. Your SNS is there, Save Never Spend is there, your emergency fund is there. And then from the other pots you have left, some of them goes into investment, some of them goes into investment. And your emergency fund, you know, is different from your savings pots. Because your emergency fund is what defends you in a day of emergency. Your investment might not always be ready or matured from when emergency visits you. That is why some people sell their investment at a loss, not because the investment was bad. The timing for the investment to mature has not come, and emergency visited them. So that means they needed to respond and sell out of their investment at a loss. That is why emergency fund is not for capital appreciation, it's for capital preservation. Let me see if there is any more questions from the house. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you all know I'm an author. I've written 2 books. One of them is called The Money Problem, and the other one is called Maya's Magic Coin. The Money Problem talks about the different types of problems we have about money, how money is good, however, all the forms of problem that comes with it. You would learn a lot in terms of understanding the basics and the fundamentals of, number one, the history of money. You know, how did we get here? What is money? It is in there, and it tells you all the different dimensions and the different facets you need to understand about what comes together to become Money Problem. I'm sure the team will put the link there. And Maya's Magic Coin is a journey for children that teaches children about financial literacy. And what that does there is it starts with the story of Maya and the magic coin. It teaches the children the fundamentals of financial literacy. It builds the foundation. I'm sure the team have got the link somewhere, or they're going to do that. So it's been an amazing time tonight. We've overshot the time. I'm just going to go around. Do we have room? Any questions at all? If not, it's been an amazing time with you again. I love doing this. I'll do this. I can talk till kingdom come. God help me. So the same time next month, remember, the last Sunday of every month is our webinar. So I'm going to be here the next time. Please sign up to our newsletter so you can know what events we have coming out, so you can get a copy of the free ebook as well, and follow us on the different social media platforms. I'm sure my amazing team will be there to put the different platforms we're on, so you can follow us, and then you keep in touch. Till next time again, remember, no be do. God bless. See you later, everybody.